We have a mezuman. We have two mezumans. Okay, so Chava will start? Yeah? Fine. Today we need a shtickle chizuk. You want to close the door? Thank you. Thank you for closing the door. Shkrach. Okay. Beseder Gomor. So today, Rabbi said, I want to learn with you as interessante nekuda. Yeah, Yehuda, why do you always sit so much in the back, Yehuda?
I like to see.
When the teenage, I teach teenagers, those who sit in the back. Okay. So what does it say in the pasuk? Ad mosai la'eda hara hazois, asher hem milinim alai, which are complaining about me. Es tlunois b'nei Yisrael, asher hema milinim alai shamati. Okay, a pasuk which seems a little bit repetitive, but the nekuda that Sugya Ta says la'eda hara elu hameraglim, because it's the meraglim mikan le'eda shehi asara. There were 12. There were 12. There were 12, but to take out Yeshua and Caleb, and what are you left with? 10. From here we know that the concept of Ada is 10 people. Now, this is the Gemara. Let's give a look at the Gemara in letter base. The Mishnah says, Ein oivrim lifnei teva, you can't have a shliach tzibur, ve'ein noisi miskapem, you don't duchen, ve'ein korim b'toira, b'sham pachot masor, when there's less than 10. You need a minion. Mai mashma, where do you know that from? The Tana Rabbi Chia, atya toch. Rabbi said, there's going to be here 3 psukim. I'll tell you right now. V'nigdashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael, which means I should be sanctified amongst the Jewish people. Then we'll send a link to a pasuk that says, Bayatas Korach, Hi badlu mitoch ha'eda hara'azot, toch mitoch, will make a bridge. Once I reach that pasuk at Korach, which has it in the word Eda, I'm going to make a bridge to, now, by Chet HaMeraglim, Eda, and Bekitzer, it's 2 psukim, one from another. We're going to learn that V'nigdashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael means 10. Okay? So let's see again. Mai mashma. Again, where do you know it from? The Tana Rabbi Chia said, Atya toch. Ksiv hacha in Pashas Emor v'nigdashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael. Uksiv asam hi badlu mitoch ha'eda. So it says Eda. Atya Eda. Now, I'm sorry, toch. V'atya Eda d'chsiv ad mosai la'eda haro azois. Ma la'alan asara, afkan asara.
What's the context of the middle pasuk?
The Korach, the Bli of Korach. Right? You're about Korach, you know, Nachon? I'm sure you know it by heart. Says Rashi there, Eida ein pochas ma'asor, shenemar ad mosa la'eda ha'azois, yatsu Yeshua v'Kalev. So boy say, the idea of a minion we learned from the Ten Meraglim. Isn't that astonishing? From the 10 Rishonim that died immediately afterwards in a terrible death? They're the source that Ada is 10. So without knowing anything else, that's V'nigdashti b'sech b'nei Yisrael. I should be sanctified amongst the Jewish people. I mean, what's the number of the Jewish people? How many? A zimun or 2 zimuns, right? Ari, we had Ari. You mentioned before, is it a zimun or not a zimun? How much is it? We learned from V'nigdashti b'sech b'nei Yisrael. It doesn't say the number. But that Besach sends a link to Hibadlu mitoch ha'eda azois, Besach mitoch. Once I reach the word Eda, I'm going to make a link to this week's parsha. Hibadlu mitoch ha'eda azois. That's called the Hekesh, whatever. Binyanam, whatever it is, like Shava. And now we know that a minion is a 10. Ein dover shebekdusha pochas ma'asara. And the source is the 10 Meraglim that were Rishayim. No, because here's a Gemara. Here's the Gemara. What can we do? Here's Gemara. Right? I'm sorry? No, but that's when they came back already. Oh, fine, but what was it all there? He badlu mitoch ha'eda ha'ra'ah hazois. They're called ra'ah. The shlechte eda. Okay?
Even what Yosef said about Avram, also by Shelach the people by Sodom.
Asot Tzaddikim, he wants Asot Tzaddikim to remain. Okay, wait a second. That's all. It's nice. It's something to save a city. That's something else. Here the Gemara, it's a Mefresh Gemara. It's back Gemara. Rabbi say, Reb Moshe Feinstein learns halacha l'maisa from this. I'm going to say in advance, other person can argue on him, but he's Reb Moshe Feinstein. Could you have Mechalei Shabbos join a minyan? What would you say?
Can you have Mechal Shabbos minyan?
Join a minyan.
Join a minyan.
Join a minyan. Could you say we only have 10 with that? Like, so could you say Kaddish, Kedusha, and the Mechalei Shabbos? Could they join a minyan? Look at Reb Moshe Feinstein's paskins and Leonard Gimel. Im letzaref b'shat adchak mechalei Shabbos la'asor lekaddish kedusha. That's the headline. The headline is: could you mitzaref b'shat adchak mechalei Shabbos? Nishalti. Question: Im yesh b'shat adchak letzaref mechalei Shabbos la'asora. Look what he answers: De'at yatoch toch memeraglim she'el kulu rishayim. The word rishayim is missing. V'hasam ayu kofim b'faresya. Shegri mechalei Shabbos was kfir b'faresya, which is even worse than mechalei Shabbos. אם כן בהכרח שגם לעניין לומר דברים שבקדושה, מצטרפי. Reb Moshe Feinstein uses this piece of ingredients to come out and say that what? That you can have a Chal Shabbos in a minute.
Sorry, how do we know the Mechalei Shabbos?
Because no, they were worse. They were quite from Pharisee. He said, and he puts the word ech, that's even worse than Chal Shabbos. So if those who did a Chil Hashem Pharisee are called the Eda, so they're also called the Eda. Rabbi say, I don't know if Rabbi Shafan goes Ad Kedekach, but if you're learning it from the Meraglim, that's the source of 10, if all 10 of them were Mechal Shabbos, it could work. Not only if you have 6 and you need 4, because by the Meraglim, all 10 were Rishayim. Each and every one of them. It's not that they have a few tzaddik with the majority. I got to look up the Ramesh Feinstein to see the Hamashach. But l'chura, if you're using the source of the Meraglim, not only you can mitzaref Mechalei Shabbos, they all can be Mechalei Shabbos. Because he says what the Meraglim did is worse than Mechalei Shabbos. I know, I'm just saying, but if you're learning it from the Meraglim, yeah. I'll call upon him and say it just brings to the fore what's going on over here. That we learn of a concept of a minyan, which is Davar Shebekdusha, from 10 Rishon? Because they're called Eda? Is that the source to let you know? You know what's the terminology used? Kol Davar Shebekdusha. You need 10. So we're speaking about a Davar Shebekdusha, right? And Im Kol Zeh. Okay. Fine. Okay? It's a Davar Shebekdusha. And we learn it from the Meraglim. All of them died with worms coming out of their tongue. They're not going to... It's a Manara. Yeah, Rashi brings in Chumash. So, ma kore po ma? What's up, Shana? That the Gilui of the Eda, that's question number 1 I want to ask the Choshev Oilam. I want to ask another question. Rav Huda brings in the Pachad Yitzchak, in Chanukah, Mamre Yudalid, he says it in the Maral, but it's not a Maral. It's someone else said. Okay. He says the words Adas is the letters of Das. You know, Heden Adas? Adas is the letters of Das. And he goes to explain. So let's go. What do you want to say by that? That the word Ada, and it's juxtaposed to something else, it's called Adas. It's the letters of Das. I guess the word Ada is the letter of Dea. The letters of Dea. But we speak more about Das. What does that mean?
Edo is like the U.S.
What?
Moed.
To meet.
Yeah.
A meeting point.
Yeah, group of people who meet together.
Yeah. But then, I don't think it's the same word though. Because that the church is Yud Ayin Dalet.
Yes.
And Adas doesn't have that Yud. It's more mashma of Eidus. Of Eidus, we're going to get to that also. Of a testimony. But okay, it's worthwhile to check it. It's going to talk it. So if I said, what do we have here today? 2 basic questions. Question number 1, how come the Gilui of a Dover Shebekdusha, you need 10, is speaking about negative people? That's A. B, and again, when Moshe finds it, takes it further. L'maisa, you can mitzvah Chal Shabbos. I must know Rav Elyashiv Paschal's not like that, and many other Paschals argue on Rav Moshe. But that's what Moshe finds it. He says you could mitzvah because he learned it from Meraglim, and he says the Meraglim was even worse than Chil Shabbos. That's question number one. Question number two: what does it mean that Adas is letters das? Makatulpo. Rav Kaduri. Thank you. So I say there's really something very, very geschmack here. Bon atchil.
Those who are cholip on.
I'm sorry?
Those who are cholip on Moshe are sick. What do they do with these? What do they do with this?
Maybe they say that it's Chilul Shabbos is worse. Maybe you can't derive from that to Chilul Shabbos. The question is what's worse. I don't know. I have to look it up, but I can't tell you offhand. But it's no that Rav Elyashiv and other persons say they have to be Shomer Shabbos. Okay. Now, Rabbi, so let's look at a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah and Baks Dalet. It's a Gemara that we spoke about in the past. Let's speak about it now again. Haya oiver achrei beis hakneset. A person was walking behind a shul. I can tell you right now on Rosh Hashanah or in Purim. Or shaya beisu somach lebeis hakneset. Or his house was juxtaposed to a shul on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. And what happened? V'shama kol shofar or kol megillah, and he heard the blowing of a shofar, or the hearing of the megillah. And he said, you know what? So im kiven liboy, if the shomeh has kavana, yotza, he's yotza. V'im lav, if he doesn't have kavana, lo yotza. Okay, that's a whole pasha. He needs kavana to be yotza. Ask the Gemara, v'chichiven liboy may have it. So what if he was Mechamen Liboy? Haich means the other, meaning the Moitzi, the one who's blowing the shofar, or the one who's reading the Megillah. Lo kamechaven adata today. He didn't know about him. He doesn't know that someone in the streets that stopped by to listen. Don't you have to have a mutual kavana? The kavana of the listener, and then the kavana of the Moitzi? That's the Gemara's kasha? That's the Gemara, no. Hacha b'shlich tzibur askinan. We're dealing that there's a minion inside. The date akule alma, the das of the moitzi, the one who's blowing the shofar, the one who's reading the Megillah, is on the whole world. Now, where's it? What?
Whoever is.
Obviously, they have to. No, he's moitzi everyone. They have to hear, right? That's not his problem. So, let's think about it. Let's bring it out to a kind of extreme example. If there's 8 people inside a room in Rosh Hashanah, comes in the Baal Tokea with a shofar, and he's number 9. And he's blowing shofar for those in the room. And someone outside stops by and says, oh, he's blowing shofar, let me hear. Then there's 2 prerequisites that have to be met. The Shomea has to have kavanah to be yotzeh, and the Baal Tokea has to know that there's someone outside listening. That's halacha. But if another person walks into the room, and instead of being 9 people in the room, there are 10 people in the room, the Baal Tokea doesn't have to know about him. He doesn't even have to be aware of it. He can be oblivious. Is that the word? Oblivious?
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know what I'm doing in English, but maybe I'll pick up a few words here and there in English. It's also good. Right? What changed when someone entered the room? Michael.
The Rav learned the Gemara that Hacham Mazkin on B'Shtech Tzibur, that there is a minion.
Yeah.
Why not? Why is the pashtus not that we're talking about someone who was asked to be a shliach for other people? Doesn't necessarily need to be a minion.
Again, all the Rishonim learn it's a minion. So you have to look at the Gemara Moshe. I hear you, Kasha. But that's what they all answer. That's how it's brought in Halacha as well. In the Shelach. You have a Lashon of Gemara. I hear. It's a hara. It's a hara. Rabbi said, try to explain to me in simple English what happened when someone walked into the room and changed the group from 9 to 10.
You got an Ada.
So what happened? Makara.
Go from a number of yichidim to one plant.
Meaning they're not anymore a bunch of individuals. They became what?
Unit.
A unit. So, yeah, but what about the guy outside?
Is extra.
Is he part of the unit?
No,
How?
but since it seems that Shliach Tzibur is Adati de Kule Alma, whatever the Makor for that is,
So then, since there's a unit in here, then
100%. Meaning the Gemara is saying when you're blowing for a minyan, you want to make it dramatic? When you're blowing for 10 Jews, you're blowing for every single Jew in the world. Obviously, like Shlomo said before, they have to hear it. If they're in China, they won't hear it. But from the perspective of the Baal Tokeh, you're blowing for God's Klal Yisrael. Isn't that amazing? For every single Jew in the world. Rabbi say, on any Rosh Hashanah in the world, let's take care of it. Baruch's not here today. How many people, Ari, you daven on Chodesh, on Rosh Hashanah? Yeah. How many people, and also, both who? You will show you the Batukea. Your mom is a good example. So listen, the Ari Kohen. How many people are in the Chodesh Binyan Rosh Hashanah?
Men?
Yeah.
Yehuda?
120.
Roughly speaking.
120.
Let's be between 1 and 1, let's say. Give me two numbers, like between 1 and 1.
10, 130.
Between 110 to 130.
Yeah.
So there's 20 that you're not sure about. So how could they be Yotze?
Part of the unit.
How could they be Yotze? Is there any other sheets here? Yes. Oh, that's okay. So I'm asking a question.
What's your other minute that you should have in mind? The number?
You should know exactly how many people you're blowing for.
Why?
That's what goes up till the number 10. Till the number 10, I got to have in mind I'm blowing for Beryl, Shmuel, Chaim, Yitzchak, and the one guy sitting outside. Let me see again.
In mind?
You're supposed to have in mind.
Where'd you get them?
The Gemara says Mefarish. Look at the Gemara. The Gemara says he doesn't have a kavanah to be mitzi. As the Gemara, we're speaking that there's a minyan. There's a shech tzibur. In Bak's Dalet. Hacha b'shech tzibur askin, and there's a shech tzibur, the date kol alma. Meaning there's a minyan inside. So Rabbi said, what's going on over here? The smartest, a klal. How would you translate the word klal in English?
General rule.
A rule.
General rule.
No, but not a klal of a tzibur, I mean. They become a klal. A collective body or a unit, a group. Fine. The smallest group, the smallest representative of Am Yisrael is 10. Again, the word in English is nucleus. What's the word?
Nucleus. Yeah.
What?
Nucleus?
Nucleus. The smallest nucleus of the Jewish people is 10. 10 are Am Yisrael. Meaning they're not anymore Ari, Yitzchak, Richard, Yosef. They're not. They're Am Yisrael. They get a new identity. And therefore, when they're 10, it's not individuals, because if there's individuals, what about the guy outside? He's not in the individuals. But they were transformed from being a group of individuals to a unit, which is called Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael is every Jew in the world. Now, technically, they have to hear it. If they're too far to hear, it won't work. But it has to be, you're blowing, a minyan means, in this room now, Baruch Hashem, now we have a minyan. Yeah. There's a shtick Am Yisrael in this room now. And before we had a minyan, it was Yosef, Binyamin, Ari, Yitzchak, Richard, Michael, Yetzibah. That's what it was. Once we're 10, we're transformed to something else. Why? What happens? What's the real difference between 10 and 9? It becomes a unit, and then what becomes then? A Shechina. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Master Shechina. For HaKadosh Baruch Hu to dwell, there has to be a klal. And Rabbi, I'll show you how the Rambam says it in Bak's Hay. You know, Rabbi said, before we go to Bak's Hay, let me bring out this point in one more way. In Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow morning, I forgot to tell you, be ready, there'll be Tchias HaMeisim. Get ready? Tchias HaMeisim. Mitzvah Hashem. Now let's say we wanted to have a mincha with those who died the last 500 years, but they're all back. And we can pick and choose, and let's take a minyan that everybody should feel represented. You know, because we love everyone, right? So I'll start with the first candidate, Rabbi Yosef Karo. Who would you add? The Rocket Shavar, okay. 2. Okay, let's go on.
go on the Vilna.
The Vilna Gaon, 3.
Rambam.
500 years, last 500 years.
And Baal Shem Tov.
The Baal Shem Tov.
Arizal.
The Arizal.
Chofetz Chaim.
Chofetz Chaim.
Chazish.
Chazish. The Maharal of Prague.
Shayla.
Maharal of Prague and
Shayla.
I'm sorry. Fine. We have 9 Gdolei Olam.
Of Kanievsky. Right.
Okay, as a backup. It'll be in a backup, right? We have 9 Gdolei Olam. Each one knows Kol Torah Kula, backwards and forwards, and the schusim that each one has is endless. The 9 got together. The first minyan of Mincha after Tchias HaMesim. And one says to them, no, say Kaddish. We can. Only 9. Even those kind of 9? Even those 9. Then Meidach Yisa, in the next room, you take 10 simple Yidden. 10 simple Yidden. That according to Rosh finds they don't even have to keep Shabbos. But let's say they're more normal, norm halacha, they have to keep Shabbos. Fine. But Amaratzim. But they keep Shabbos. Good, sweet Yidden, but Amaratzim. They're 10. They could say Kaddish, Kedusha, and everything. Now, do you really want me to believe that those 10 people carry more weight than 9 Gdolei Yisrael?
Apparently.
It doesn't make sense.
It's a unit.
So what's the pshat? What's the pshat that 10 outweigh those 9?
Because they're a nucleus.
Zeres Lakosa.
They're a nucleus.
The nucleus, but it's how could they be? But how could they be more than the Vilna Goyen of Baal Shem Tov?
Because your minimum is 10.
So what happens here? The Kedusha of 10 is that Kosh Baruch Hu joins them. 9, Kosh Baruch Hu doesn't join them yet. And once you have Shechina involved, it's the highest form of Kedusha. Yes, when there's 10 people in the room, there's more Kedusha. Not because of them. Of course they cannot match the other 9. But Kosh Baruch Hu joined them. And once Kosh Baruch Hu joins, no human efforts could compare to that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu joins a klal. Let's see how the Maral says this in Der Chaim, and letter Hey. He quotes the pasuk. Look at the pasuk. Elokim nitzav ba'at haskel, which literally means HaKadosh Baruch Hu is standing in the Eda. K'layma shetimtza she'Hashem hu nimtza im ha'eda. The Eibusher is with the Eda. The Eda hi asara. Ki shem Eda ba'al klal. The ein hosafa ala klal. Once you have a unit, you don't add to it. Ki afi bata mosif ala klal, eino yotze min haklal rishon. You don't go beyond the first klal. Now the Maral is going to say a gewaltige insight. We're going to say in English, after the number 10, what's the following number?
10 plus 1, 11.
In English?
11.
11.
10, 1.
A new word. 11. How's it called in Hebrew? 1 plus 10. There's no number that goes beyond 10. That's what it means in Hebrew. You reach 10 and then you do a circle again. But you're always in the same circle. What's called 11? 1 and 10. What's called 21? 1 and 20.
2-1.
What?
2-1.
What's 2-1? Yeah. Okay, that's a bdicha. Fine. So says the Maral, I'm going to prove to you there's something. How come there's no number that goes beyond the number 10? And when you reach 11, you go back now again to the circle. You're counting again 1, 2, 3, 4, just on for second round, on a third round, etc. But you're always going to be counting tens. Says the Maral, I'll tell you why. Let's see the point. The third line. בדובר זה תמצא במספר 10. כי אחר 2 יש להוסיף למנות 3, 4. After 2, it's 3, it's 4. וכן עד 10. אבל ב10 יש משפט הכלל. You reached a unit. שאין כאן תוספות. You cannot add to a unit. וכאשר אתה מוסיף עליו במספר, צריך למנות 11, 12. You're going again, 1, 2. ואין זה תוספת, that's not adding. כיוון שאתה חוזר למנות 1, you're just recounting 1 again. לפיכך אין עדה פחוסה מ10. You know what a number 10 represents? It's a full unit that you cannot add on it beyond that anymore. ובגמרא יאלף למקרא תכסי במרגלים, עד מוסי לעדה הרע. יוצא יהושע וכלב שלא היו בכלל עדה רע, ונשארו 10. ומורה על זה מספר 10, שראוי להיות 10 עדה, כמו שהסבר. 10 should be a fixed unit. השכינה הוא עם העדה. מאחר שאין תוספת 10, מספר זה הוא שלם. והוא יסבור שהוא שלם, הוא נמצא עם השלם. So what's the Maral saying? there has to be some kind of denominator between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the people that are here. If there are 10, they're called, there's a shlemus here. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a shalom, he could dwell with B'mokum shalom. It's Lashon HaGmara, we say, in the Farish in the Zohar, Lo shar Shechina b'mokum pagima. The Shechina is not sure in a place which has a deficiency. It's Farish. The Shechina has to be with 10. And the Malach explains because 10 is a unit. And you never go beyond it. You just go count again from one again. So what is he saying here? That a klal, what happens when there's 10 simple yidden? They're transformed to a klal. And a klal is where HaKadosh Baruch Hu dwells. And no other 9 individuals who could be goine v'gdoishe elyon could match that. Because they're making a unit of shleimus, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu joins. And 9 don't have that. Ein dover shebekdusha pochas b'asar. Dover shebekdusha means somehow relating to Hashem. So this idea that if it comes from Hashem, no human person could match to it. Now, I'll repeat you something, a sad story, that I'm sure I said it here already more than once, that those who remember in 2008 or 7, there was a terrorist attack in Yeshivat Merkaz Arav. You remember Rabbi Say? And I think six Bochum were killed. One of them was called Noam Lifshitz, the son of Rav Lifshitz, who was the Mashgiach in Yeshivat Akotel. Now, it so happened to be that those 6, or maybe whatever, a different number, they were really the Mitzuyanim of the Yeshiva. It's not only once they died they said it. Because it was Ben Azdarim. It was during the break time. And they were learning the library. But by definition, it's the more motivated. And they're the ones that got killed. Harav Lifshitz from Yeshivat Akotel would come to Ramesh Shapira's Shirim on Thursday nights. Hundreds of people were there. So Ramesh didn't know him personally, but he was told that a member of the 500 comes, and so he made it a point to go Menachem Avel, even though he did not know him personally. And then they said, and all Yerushalayim spoke about it, that Ramesh Shapira, when he went in there, he told him, your son, Noam, who died at the age of 16, was killed at the age of 16, is in a higher place than the Chofetz Chaim. That's what we told him. Now I know Ramesh Shapira, he never was Magzim. To say that a 16-year-old, with all due respect, he's a higher place than the Chofetz Chaim? I mean, come on. You want to identify with the pain of the family? Of course, understood. But to say he's now in a higher place than the Chofetz Chaim. So when I first heard that, because everybody was talking about it, I said, I don't believe Ramesh said that. You know what? I'm going to see him on Friday. I'll ask him. Because we had a Kviyas Shir on Fridays. At the end of this year, I went over to him. I said, Rav, they're saying the name of the Rav, that when the Rav went to Menachem Avel, the Lifshitz family, he said that this young teenager is in a higher place than the Chofetz Chaim. Is that true? He said, yeah. I said that. Really? He said, "Some Mefesh Gemara." What's going on? Haruge Lud, the Gemara Pesachim, the Gemara Bavasra, ein mechitza, ein bira yichol almod mechitzasam. And he learns from that Gemara that anybody who's killed because he's a Yid, he's called a Kodesh. That Gemara applies to him. And I asked him, Rebbe, what's the shot? What's the shot? Reb Chaim Brisker, who was a contemporary of the Chofetz Chaim, said that if we'll live 1,000 years, we will not understand who the Chofetz Chaim was. And we're speaking about Mr. Havana, Reb Chaim Brisker. That's what he said on the Chofetz Chaim. So Noam is in a higher place than the Chofetz Chaim. Ech ze chol liot? So Rabbi Moshe told me. The pshat is like this. When it comes, what we always speak about, what I am and what I do. When it comes to doing, nobody could match the Chofetz Chaim. Let that be clear. No one in this world today could match the deeds of the Chofetz Chaim. Ze barur. But there's another element that we have a kedusha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sanctified us. What we are. And if a person lost his life, not due to what he did, but what he is, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges him accordingly, and then everyone's called a Kodesh because of the kedusha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he sanctified Am Yisrael. And that kedusha, no human being could match. So a person that lived a regular life and dies a regular death at a regular age, he'll be judged according to his deeds. When it comes to deeds, we're not Chavetz Chaim. 100%. But when it comes to, not what we did, but what Kosh Baruch Hu did us. But Nigdashti B'tuch B'nai Yisrael, he's Mekadosh Am Yisrael, and he's looked from that prism, even the Chavetz Chaim cannot, the deeds of the Chavetz Chaim cannot compare to that. That's what he explained to me. Now the Chavetz Chaim himself, of course, has the Kedusha of Yisrael, but he's not looked upon it from that angle. He's really looked upon it from his deeds, like all of us are being judged. Okay, so that's what's coming out over here. When it's 10, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is coming into the picture. That's a level of kedusha. No 9 people can match it. Even, you know what? Even Moshe Rabbeinu probably won't be able to be enough. Because Moshe Rabbeinu, I have a subject, it says Shokul Shishim Ribo. I just don't know. And I'm so a little, it sounds a little, I don't know. No 9 could do that. That's what you see from this Mahal. Now, Rabbi said, to bring out this Seguna, just to wrap it up, to define one more element about a cloud. The famous question that we spoke about 100 times throughout the years, you remember? I was learning with Baal Tshuva and with Chod Shlomo. We were both in our 20s. Remember the story? Okay, I'll remind you. And he knew how to read Hebrew. He did not understand a word. Meaning he knew how to pronounce the aleph base if there was vowels. And he was from maybe for 3 weeks. I don't know where it's not a gerus. He kept Shabbos it was his 3rd Shabbos he was keeping. I mean, we're speaking about such a preliminary stage. And he came over to, I remember, and he asked me if I could learn with him one-on-one during the break. Chumash. So I said, fine. And then we sat together. I asked him, where do you want to start from? He said, from the beginning. Genesis. I told him, if you don't mind, it's Parshas Bereishis is a tough parsha with Chet Adam Arishon and the Nachash. And if you don't mind, let's go to the next parsha. Okay? Well, he says, what's the next parsha? Noach. So he asked me, was Noach Jewish? I said, no. Okay, listen, if we're skipping, let's start with the Jews. That's what he tells me. So we went to Lech Lecha, which reminds me of what I said, Rav Hutner Zatzal, like 3-4 days before he was nifter, there was a nurse there. Granted, it was a male nurse, but that's not the point. Asked Rav Hutner, he moved the pillow like this. So he said, Noach Lecha? So he answered, Ich halte Lech Lecha, nicht Noach. And everybody laughed. He said, I'm not a Noach, I'm a Lech Lecha. But he meant to say, I'm going. And he talked about was nifter 3-4 days later. That's what he said. I'll call upon him, so we started Lech Lecha. And I remember I had to translate literally every word. Did you ever have such kind of experience? I'm sure you did. Vayomer Hashem. God said. El Avram. Lech Lecha Me'aretz. And we did like 5 sukkim first, without Rashi, without just translating into English. And then he asked me a question. You remember the story, guys? He asked me a question that only a Baal Tshuva can ask. What did he ask me? Was Abraham a righteous man? So I said, of course. Yeah, what did he do? He introduced monotheism to the world. He broke the idols, and he's the pillar of kindness. And we're very, very proud of him. He says, where does it say what you just now said? And he starts flipping back in his English chumash. It's all English. There was Hebrew there. Is it the previous portion that we skipped? I said, no, it's not there. Now, where is it? It's Midrashim. It doesn't say anything about him in the Chumash. He didn't say Chumash even. In the Bible, it doesn't say anything about him. But I heard from Rabbi Gersheveld, he has a good cup. He's already asking a contradiction between one staff member and another staff member. Rabbi Gersheveld said, basically, En Mikra Yotzim Dem Shutoi, which means the text has to make sense in its own merit. So is that the way you do to someone? With zero background? That's what he asked me. You don't say he's a tzaddik, you don't say anything. You go to Eretz Yisrael, and you're going to become the Jewish people. And from that point till the end of the Tanakh, we're dealing with the Jewish people. Not to them Chumash. Why him? I thought in the beginning he's asking, could you trust Chazal? That's why I understood it. So I went on that tree. He said, no, that's not my question. My question is, the Torah Shebeksav has to make sense in its own merit. It doesn't make sense to do something like that. So we start looking around if someone asks it. We found we looked at the Ramban. He's one of the first ones we looked into it. The Ramban asks it, but not in the Pasuk Aleph, at the end of Pasuk Beis. So it took us a while till we found it. And he asked that question. The Maral and Allah Sfarim brings this question, and to strengthen the question, he adds one more point. Why was Noach the only one saved from the Mabul? Him and his family. Why him within anybody else? Because he says, was he tzaddik number one in the whole wide world in his time? Yeah. Someone had to be number one. It was him. How do you know he was a tzaddik? It says 3 times. Then a pasuk, then precious, v'noch matzachem b'nei Hashem, noach ish tzaddik tamim ha'bador esav, ki otcha reidi tzaddik l'fnei bador hazeh. So there's some kind of background. He's a tzaddik, he's being saved. The other ones are not tzaddik, and they're not being saved. Fine. But by Avram Avinu it says nothing. How do you understand that? This question the Maharal brings to the name of the Ramban in many, many places in his farm. One of them is in letter Vav. Give a look. When's the Maharal downstairs? We don't have Baruch here today. When's the Maharal downstairs? Oh, I was here, I think it's 10:14. Could it be?
Quarter past 10.
What?
Quarter past, Baruch said, Baruch said quarter past 10.
Quarter past 10. Okay, shkech. So the Maharal Netzach Yisrael is one of the places where he speaks about it and explains more than elsewhere. But in paragraph A, the first paragraph, it's the question of the Ramban. Let's read it together. Kasher b'cha Hashem yizbach b'tchila b'Avram v'otziu milkos dim letet la'aretz ksiv v'yomer Hashem el Avram lech l'cha ma'aretz v'olad lecha la'aretz ashereka v'iksha haRamban Zal, the Ramban asks, Shetemu, it's a wonder. Shelo zachar katuv kodem zeh she'Avram tzaddik. Doesn't mention initially there's a tzaddik. Ulekach niglal avashchina v'amar lech l'cha ma'aretz v'olad ki below zeh, if he probably wouldn't have been a tzaddik, lo niglal avashchina v'amar lech l'cha ma'aretz lekach ro'ya lichtov kodem tzitzkas Aram. And that's the Ramban. Here comes the Maharal that adds, "Ukamoshi timtza b'Noach." Yes, you find by Noach. B'Noach matzachem b'nei Hashem. V'achar kach ksiv elo tedos Noach. Yizkir kodem tzidkas Noach. Kodem sheyizkir shediber Hashem yismach imoy. So before Hashem speaks to him, say he's a tzaddik. Says the Maharal, "V'zel lo yikshe klal." It's not kasha at all. Look at this. Each place he says a different style. Look at this style. Ki Noach lo haya rak b'chira prati. Noach was chosen based on an individual basis. והבחירה הפרטית הוא לפי משהו. הבחירה הפרטית is according to what he is, what he does. והכל הוא לפי מייס הצדקה שלו. Is he a tzaddik or not? אבל באברהם לא היה בחירה פרטית. Avraham Avinu wasn't chosen as an individual. רק באומה הישראלית. Rather as a father of a nation. שם זרוי. שהכתיב אותה בחירה בישראל לגוי גודל. בישראל לגוי גודל. וזה בחירה כלולית. ובחירה כמזאת אינו תועלה במעשה כלל, ולא בחטא, כי המעשה הוא לפרט. See what I'm saying here? When you're coming to gauge an individual, a resume for shidduchim. So then, how does he learn? How does he daven? How does he this? How does that? When you speak about a few million people, you can say, how does he learn? It's not shaykh. Every individual has his ma'asim. When it comes to a klal is not based on maisim. Maisim are to gauge the individual. That's maisim. When it comes to millions and millions of people, the yardstick is not maisim. So what is it? I don't know, but it's not maisim. That's what it says. Look at the last 4 words. Look, the Maharal underlined it. Ki hamaseh hu leprat. For a Shelach wisdom, you ask about Maisim. But if you're speaking about the Jews of London, what's their Maisim? You can't do it. You can't speak about. That's what he's saying. It's the definite meaning. There's what you are, and there's what you do. What you do is an individual. What you are, you could say there's a nation that has certain characteristics. That you could say. But so let's just add up all what we're saying here to this stage. What happens to a klal is removed for their individual identity. And now they're transformed to something else. And their individual identity is left behind. the gilui of that is dafka by Rishayim. By Rishayim, you see the koyach of klal, that if you're going to take 10 Chavetz Chaims, or 10 Reb Chaim Oizers, okay, it's much, yeah, of course. One's great. 10, how much more? The more the merry. That wouldn't show the koyach of a klal. The koyach of a klal is evident when each one is a Russia, and yet somehow together they leave that old identity behind, and now what's with them? Now they are joining. They're all called Ra, Eda Ra, and then I'll explain in a minute. But they're called an Eda. An Eda means that they are enough of a basis for Hashem to dwell amongst them. Hi, the Rishayim. That's an individual basis, and that identity is left behind. What? Very good. Yeah, good point, Amirsim. There's no tuma by its sibur. Ain't sibur tome. Ain't sibur met. Ain't sibur ani. All the deficiencies of a yachid do not apply to a klal. A klal is some kind of spiritual miniature of Am Yisrael. Kol ha'eskim matzibur. What does it say? Well, first of all, we say it's a Kodesh Baruch Hu's business. Kol ha'eskim b'tzorch tzibur, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishar b'scham.
We say Baruch Elokeinu by 10 invention. We add Elokeinu.
Yeah. So meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu's here. Yeah, you add Elokeinu. Good sushtel. Good sushtel. And whoever's oisik mitzibur, you know what this said in Daf Lamed Aleph? He brings a Yerushalmi, we don't know exactly where it is. That whoever's oisik b'tzorch tzibur is doing something so holy, it's like he's learning Torah. Kilo oisik b'Torah. It's brought out in the Shulchan Aruch also. Meaning, at Tzibur is Dover Kodesh. Even if you're dealing, the Balatanya says, I should have brought it here also. The Balatanya says that when 10 Yidden get together, even if they're not learning, they're just 10 in a room. The Satna, whoever, is shaking with fear because of the Kedusha that exists here. So Rabbi said, just to bring it a step further, where do you see Lemaisa that a tzibur has that koach? I'll show you. The Meshurah can bring Machlokes Achronim, Gdoi Le'olam, the Goyim, Prima Godim, V'noagu ha'am, and Paskin Halacha according to the Minhag. Puk Chazi, what's that for them, Moshe Gemara? My Amadover. What's the am? Me, and others like me who didn't learn the Sukkah. So how can we Paskin Halacha like me? I'm the first one to admit I have no clue what I'm doing. But it's the Gemara in Pesachim right over there with Hila that when he became a Nasi, that they had to question the knife that you shech the Korban Pesach on Shabbos. Could you carry the knife on Shabbos since you're allowed to do the shechit on Shabbos? He said, we don't know. Let's see what they do tomorrow. And they saw that they put the knife between the horns of the animal. Now again, what does a klal mean? If you speak about the level of scholarship of a klal, there's no scholarship there. It's people who did not learn the sukkah. They don't. But they have this uncanny ability to feel what a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants. That's what a tzibur means. And if you look throughout the history of Am Yisrael, excluding one or two cases, they never chose someone that turned out to be a bluffer. There's one known case that has to do with Mashiach. Something right, but like, could you imagine they're going to say, "We digged the house of the Chazon Ish the other day, archaeology in the ground, and you can't imagine what we discovered there." You're not going to discover anything, I promise you. Now I'll tell you, there was better not to talk. So, the closer you get to the Chazon Ish circle, his Talmidim, his family, it's even a bigger tzaddik. Who schlepped the Chazon Ish out of him a quiet shul in Kozma and made him go to the door? Am Yisrael. How do they know? They just know. Now, did the Chavetz Chaim or the Chazon Ish go around and say, vote for me, for God Lador. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. That's what happened in politics. You know, the nice, if you think about it, you step backwards. Isn't it terrible that someone has to sell himself? And speak about how great he is? I'm nervous. A possible Yalucha Zav V'lo Picha.
They learn Yahalo Chazar.
Valoi. By the way, it's a Zohar Kodesh.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's not a joke. But could you imagine someone's going around like the President of the United States of America saying the whole time how great he is? Yes. Would you be embarrassed to tell people how great you are? First of all, I don't know if we think we're so great, but look as you can. Yeah, I'm going to convince people how great I am. You don't do that. And the Chofetz Chaim and all Gedolei Yisrael were not voted in a campaign and votes. Am Yisrael just felt, he's the one. He's the one. He's the one. But boys, I want to bring you right to this Nakuda. How come Adas is the letters of Das? Das, the letters are according to the order. Dalet, Ayin, Saf. It's the chronological order. Again, Adas, it's not the order. Aleph, then back to Dalet and Saf. Exactly this point. Am Yisrael has the Das, but not in a logical, systematic way. It's a subconscious thing. In a subconscious way, they know what Shekhinah wants, because Shekhinah is with them. That's their koach. The Naguam. You hear Reb David? That's what Adas stands for. Now, boy, Adas also stands for the word Edus. I want to ask a question. Do we have a Nusach Ashkenaz anywhere? If not, the Nusach Ashkenaz? Here would be probably a little bit kind of hard to find Nusach Ashkenaz. I wonder if Nusach Sfarad says it. It's Nusach Ashkenaz?
Yeah,
Yeah, Kermit says. I'm going to say, you know what we're going to say tomorrow morning? Let me read you something. Tell me if it makes sense. Look what it says. HaPoseach b'tshuva. There's a chapter that starts HaPoseach b'tshuva. Avinu Malkeinu. Im ein banu tzedakah u'maisim b'tavim. If we're without anything, schol lanu es bris avosenu. Remember the bris of the office. Okay, that makes sense. But there's another thing you should remember. Ve'edosenu b'chol yom Hashem echad. We testify every day, twice a day, in fact. That's Hashem's one. That's Shema. First of all, why here is it called Edusenu? Second of all, isn't that good deeds? If we don't have any good deeds, can you please remember the Shema? That's good deeds. A Yid every day for his whole life, twice a day, said that Kodesh Baruch Hu Echad. Isn't that called Maisim Tovim? So what's up in the sense? It's a steer and obey. Avinu Malkeinu im ein banu tzedakah u'maisim tovim. So you know what? Remember the others. Okay, that I understand. That's not us. And remember that we say Shema pa'amayim b'yom. Isn't that called maisim tovim? What do you say about that kind of kasha? What do you say?
Action and words.
Well, because it's a dibur.
Yeah.
Well, a dibur is called a ma'aseh in a lot of ways. It's like kibbutz tosayim. That's what it means. First of all, it should say dibureinu. Why are you calling it edus? A dibur. If you want to say that focus, edus means something else. Edus means it's not what we do; it's what we are. We personify and show the world that Kodesh Baruch Hu is here, not because of what we do. It's not because of our maisim, but we are. The Jewish people's existence mirrors HaKadosh Baruch Hu's oneness in the world. It's not the doing; it's the being. That's called edus. The Maral learns in the Derech Chaim, Perek Mishnah Kabes, and the Avnei Nezer and the Chuvas and Chesed Mishpat goes to town on it. Edus does not mean revealing information to the Dayanim. They were there, and the Eidim were there, so the Eidim are going to say over what occurred. That's not what Edus works. Does Rabbi Michael? Yeah. Rather, how does the Edus work? That the Eidim come and they bring the Maisa into court. Tremendous stuff comes on this. It's if there's a screen on their stomach, and they come to court and they play the screen. They play the deed on the screen. So when the Dayanim are paskening, they're not paskening on pi shmiya, they're paskening on pi re'iyah. That's what Rav says. En l'dayan al masha einav. Why don't you say en l'dayan al masha oizdam shamayis? Look, he doesn't see; he hears. What's the point? The Dayanim, the word et means ad. They bring the Maisa into the courtroom, and the Maisa is being displayed through the Eidim. It's a murdik yisod. It's not that they're giving it over; they're bringing it with them. That's what Edus means. Am Yisrael reflects HaKadosh Baruch Hu without even doing anything. Our Edus is look at what we are. Here we're speaking about deeds, but the point is, we're bringing out that there's a big Ayin and Dalet and Shema. It's a testimony. Rabbi said, you know that someone asks, how come you don't have to say Shema ba'amida? Like you have to say Veichulu ba'amida? And how come you don't say Shema too? Like Veichulu has to be two. I found out Achman to ask that. I had this kasha also. Now, when it comes to sitting, you definitely have to sit. If you stand, right? If you stand, you're like B'Shamai, right? So anyway, so just to sum up what we learned. Adas, the letters are not in order because it's a subconscious thing. It's not logic. It's not that A leads to B leads to C. And therefore, it's mixed up. But they have the tchuna to smell what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. And that's Eidus. And therefore, it's not under the category of Maisim. And therefore, we are Jewish. I want to wish all of you that we should have only good Sulas Tavis this week, and Simchas and Mazel Tov. And we miss Baruch very much, right?